My Life Between Lives story from Newton Train Institute practitioners.
I see a whole change in the thrust of searching for answers about who we are and why we're here. And I think it's wonderful, and I just hope the movement continues to expand.
Let us expand the universal consciousness together with a My Life Between Lives story presented by the Michael Newton Institute.
Welcome to My LBL Story. My name is Ekomananda. I am your host. Today my special guest is Kwiatkowski. Kathy is a licensed counselor specializing in complex trauma recovery for the past 35 years. She's also a certified hypnotherapist specializing in past life regression and the life-between-lives therapy, a quantum consciousness facilitator, a Reiki master, and an energy medicine practitioner, and the author of the book Stand In Your Brilliance, a transformative guide to overcome life's challenges and remember the truth of who you are. I'm aware that you actually have the Christian and the Lutheran background. How does that actually eventually lead you on to your current spiritual guide journey?
Oh, well, yes, I did start out being raised in the Lutheran Church as a Christian. And the bridge for me between Christianity and spirituality was beginning to read books like The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, The Immortal Self by Richard Rohr. These are people, Richard Rohr in particular, Christian Catholic priest, who also sees the bigger picture. So that became the bridge for me to begin blending more traditional religion and spirituality. I always was more drawn to the Holy Spirit when you think of the three aspects of Christianity. So, yeah, and it continues to evolve as I work now with people on this. Goal of going through the world from your spirit. I'm starting to resonate more with the Jesus figure and the Christ consciousness. So it continues to evolve and blend in different ways.
It sounds like that you had that urge of knowing the truth from a very young age.
Yes, well, I always knew the truth that there was something more than just us. I never resonated with, I grew up in a traditional Lutheran church. It was pretty fear, anger based. So I never resonated with the fear aspect of God punishing us. I can remember from a very young age sitting in the pew thinking, no, that's actually not right. So, but the message of God is love. That always resonated for me. You know, I went to vacation Bible school in the summer and we made little crafts that said God is love. And I really feel like that just kept connecting me to the vibration of love, which is what we all are.
Yes, I found that quite, wouldn't you doubt it? Why God would punish us?
It never made sense to me. It just really didn't. Intuitively as a young child, it just didn't fit with everything else.
In your therapeutic work, have you actually worked with many Christians who have such fear?
Yes, actually, I did not know that that was going to end up being a big part of what I do, but it has. And I'm grateful for that because I understand the journey of moving from traditional structured Christianity to having a broader perspective, more of a universal perspective. As, so as a clinician, as a therapist, I'm a trauma recovery specialist. And so I've worked with quite a few people coming out of what you would think of as religious trauma.
And you understand the reasons there are so many different religions around.
So yes, the funny thing about that is, again, as a young child, I remember, hearing the message that you needed to believe a certain way in order to go to heaven. And, like many people, I thought of heaven as somewhere else. And then I saw all these other religions. Just one day it dawned on me, I'm like, well, I know why we have all of these other religions. It's like God created lots of doors so that people can find their way to him. It doesn't matter which door you go through. And now, of course, as an adult, even more understanding how it works, it's like you actually don't even have to choose a door. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. You don't have to choose, because the common teaching, one theory is that we all have choices. And sometimes when I look back at my own journey, life just follows itself.
Absolutely. Spirit's guiding everything all the time. And so at this stage of my life, which, I guess people talk about it as the third trimester of life, I can look back and see so many places along the way where Spirit guided me to end up where I am. But I had no idea at the time. I was just doing the next thing that I felt inspired to do.
You did so many training, got so many credentials, and it's like so impressive. The list runs that long. So those innate knowing guide you step by step becoming a counselor.
Yes, I started out as a special education teacher. I did that for 6 years, absolutely loved it, but I wanted to have a bigger impact. So I became a counselor to help families. So I'm helping families, didn't know I was going to end up working with a lot of children who had trauma, specifically sexual trauma. So then I needed to learn more about that, which led me to working on my own trauma, which was a very important step to the next piece, which was working a lot with couples who were coming out of different types of trauma, and it was playing out in their relationships, which led me to do more with my marriage. I mean, everything along the way, right? And then on well, you would think a fluke, but nothing's a fluke. I decided to go to a big conference that had psychics and mediums, and I find myself sitting in the audience with Brian Weiss and doing a past life regression. And I'm like, what is this? So then I learned more about that, found out, really legitimate psychiatrists and psychologists who are doing this work, like Michael Newton. And I was like, I think this is my next thing. And so I went, did an LBL with a girlfriend. And it was actually a girlfriend who told me about the Newton work. And she gave me the book. I had this profound experience of sitting on my patio on a summer afternoon, reading Journey of Souls, and everything in my system lit up like, this is truth. That, like, I already know this. It was the most incredible experience. So the girlfriend and I together go to do an LBL, and we're sitting there, and she's intuitive. She's sitting next to me, and she says, I just heard you're supposed to do this. And I was like, no way. That's like professional suicide. I am not doing this. But then I just knew I couldn't not do it. And of course, after having my own profound LBL experiences and experiencing my own soul and seeing my spirit, yeah, it was huge. So that's kind of the progression of how I ended up here.
And then you have been doing 9 years as a experienced trauma-informed heal and life between life therapy. How did Life Between Life Therapy or Michael Newton Institute uplifted your spiritual journey as a healer?
All along the way, I've been working with, doing my own healing, clearing my own field, whatever I can do to have a clear connection to my higher self and to the guides, lots of different trainings with different intuitives. When I did my own LBLs, it shifted my vibration so profoundly that it shifted the work that I do with people. So because we're all energetically connected, when as my vibration has shifted, it's hard to explain, but it's just different. We just end up going different places in the sessions. And we don't even know that that's where it's all so guided. It's in the past, I'm strongly analytical. So I would strategize everything. All of my trauma recovery training, there's protocols, and you follow the protocols and you do them in this order. And I don't do that anymore. I do, the protocols are there and they guide us, but what guides us more is the intuitiveness, and it just is, the effects are more profound. I don't know what else to say. The clients who come just to do LBL, they're not working with me as a trauma recovery therapist. So we're not doing like traditional trauma recovery. They come just for an LBL, but they have trauma. It's incredible the healing that they can get in an LBL from trauma that in the past maybe would take, several years working with the traditional counseling methods, because the guides are coming in, the energy is being cleared. It's like metaphysical healing, right? It's way beyond us sitting in the room.
It sounds like the sessions went faster. It's not as rigid as how we were initially taught. And the energy shifting happens faster, so that it sort of got as energy exchange. So we downloaded more light and we absorbed more darkness or illusion, so that we can live more freely from this moment onward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's all a vibrational, I do the quantum healing work also, which is all about the resonance of the vibration. So my intuitive gift is feeling vibration. I really want to see things more, and I am seeing things more, but you always want what you don't have. So, but I feel my way and I get knowings. That's how information comes to me. And the knowings will like come out of my mouth, and then I get confirmation that that was guidance. So that's how it works for me. And as I keep up leveling, then the people who come to work with me, their vibrations are up leveling, and the magic just happens in the synergy of it all.
When you say that you wanted to see things more, are you saying that you are not quite a visual?
I'm not very visual. And so in my LBL, it's interesting. My very first LBL, I did see, in the past life aspect of it, I saw a lot. But when I went into the spiritual realm, not so much. And my block for a long time was seeing the council. I've never actually seen a council. I've seen one very powerful, wise being. I've never seen a council, but I've sensed them there, and I get messages from them. I've seen my energy field in two different ways. in one LBL, I saw my energy field as a big disc, and it had a humming to it that would attract other entities towards me. And then in another journey that I took, I saw my energy field in the shape of like a pyramid with a light on the top. These have been my experiences, but they're so profound because they're so powerful. It really helps you to connect to the power of who you are way beyond who you are as a human.
I'm fortunate to be quite a visual, but I guess that you have actually showed many people who telling me or telling us, the therapist, I don't see things. They read past life regression, LBO books. Okay, this is what I could see. But not everybody actually see things as what we perceive or conceive as what we can see in the session. And the inner, the knowingness, it's something that's just there. It's a gift that everybody has.
Exactly. And I do think it's beneficial that I'm not really visual, because a good portion of the people who come to me, that is a block for them. And it's so easy for me to reassure them that there's so many ways that you can get information, because that's how it works for me, to just trust it, and it's going to come, and there's an ease about it. Once you just relax in and trust it, and it's always there. It's always there.
Yes, it is always there. From a counselor to an LBL therapist, do you sense any shift in terms of your clientele?
Absolutely. Yes. And that was intentional. I had about 5 years ago, I set the intention that whoever reaches out to work with me would be people who are open to having a broader perspective on healing, put it that way. And so generally, I rarely get phone calls anymore for people who don't fit in that category. I will occasionally still get inquiries for marriage counseling, because I did marriage counseling for years and years. And I don't necessarily say no to marriage counseling, because if they're open to the broader perspective, it can be very powerful to explore, well, what other lifetimes have you had together? This couple who maybe in their current lifetime is very combative, maybe you've had these, other lifetimes that when you see them, it will help clear the energy around what's happening now in your relationship. Or it might give you clarity around, well, why do you have so many challenges in this relationship? Was that part of your plan? What's the lesson that you're meant to be having from that? So I'm always open to working with couples who want to explore that.
Do you set some sort of parameters, like this are the group of people that I prefer to see, like they are looking for life purposes, they're looking for connecting to higher self, they're looking for a spiritual opening?
So my main criteria is that you're open to the idea that healing can happen in multiple dimensions, that the healing actually comes from beyond us. And if you're open or even wanting to believe that that's true, you know, then there's a conversation that can be had there around that. And then, of course, people who have had religious trauma, getting understanding around why that happened. Was that part of their plan? How can they use that moving forward in a productive way in the world? Helping them reconnect to their light if their religious trauma has squelched that for them. So yeah, I'm always open to that.
Wonderful. And in your experience, how does the method, this quantum healing, this spiritual guidance differ to conventional healing that focus on physical, like psychologists and doctors, the conventional means?
The trauma therapies, the conventional trauma therapies that I do, I actually believe that there is a spiritual component to it and that the therapists don't even know that they're bringing it in. So, and that's just how spirit works. So for instance, I'm an EMDR practitioner, right? And in EMDR, you stay very present with the thing that's most difficult. Well, when we stay very present with something, we're bringing the energy of love to that thing. That's spiritual. That's harnessing the energy, that higher vibrational energy, to be present with the wounded aspect of us. Traditional counseling, they may not even know that they're bringing this in. If they're not oriented that way, I guess it's possible that they're not bringing it in, but I don't know how that would work. I think I've lost track of the question, but so as I've done more and more quantum healing and LBL and Reiki, because I'm a Reiki master, and energy work that I do with people, it just naturally is getting kind of woven in to my traditional work that I do. So to me, they're not really separate anymore, unless somebody just really isn't open to any of that. And then I say, there's several other really good therapists in town that you could go work with, that they're going to do it that way for you. So go have at it.
Yes, I see that each modality has its own purpose. They helps to lift the awareness to this level, and then they can explore more and go higher, higher and higher. So I see that everything is there for a purpose, and we just use what is practical for the client's benefit.
And what that actually made me think about is these therapies were inspired, right? Like Shapiro, who designed EMDR, she was inspired to design that therapy. Lifespan integration evolved from an EMDR therapist who was inspired to look at, wait a minute, what are the pieces that EMDR is not getting to? So spirit is even in these therapies, woven in there, because they were developed through inspiration.
Yes, spirit's always here. I mean, yes, there's so many things we don't know. There's so many things that science can't explain. And the only way is to expand the unknown, right? Expand unknown, so our known become a little bigger, and then explore again, so the known become a bit bigger. But we can never know everything. It is impossible for this mere shifts of body.
Exactly. The one key distinction I would make between traditional psychotherapy and the more metaphysical work is, we know on the metaphysical level that we are whole, that there is nothing that's broken. And so therapy operates more on the kind of a fix-it model. Let's find what got missed and fill that in. Which I'm not saying that's completely off, especially for brain-based therapies with EMDR. If certain neuropathways weren't built, that's good. You want to get those neuropathways built so information is processing the way it's meant to process through the nervous system. And at the same time, we know that when we expand out, we are whole. We have everything that we need. So figuring out how to kind of move between those two worlds, I find very interesting. It's kind of the art of the work.
Definitely. And I admire, therapists like you. You have a lifetime of experience guiding others, while my journey is purely spiritual. I mean, I was not aware at all. Then when I got my first message, I deep dived in. So I didn't have this conventional means. So my journey, however, I trained with the hypnotherapist in Australia who does not believe in past life. And life is really quite ironic in that way. He has no belief in whatsoever of past life, but he used past life to help with one of his clients who had a seizure to stop from having seizure. And to me, that was just fascinating. But I was naturally drawn to past lives and beyond, and so it is truly just a wonder, a wonder. And just keep on opening, keep on opening.
Right. And, you know, I mean, my first teacher in hypnotherapy, she said, you know, people don't have to believe in past lives. They can think of it as metaphor. That's fine too. It's still going to have the same benefits. Personally, because I like evidence, I'm more science-based, I'm more left hemisphere logical. I liked discovering the work of Jim Tucker in Virginia, who studies past life regression, and in my opinion has proven that it's real. I like that science proof to it. But we don't have to, at the same time, we don't have to even believe in it for it to be effective. So, yeah.
Yes, I truly love that concept or that knowingness, because some clients do after evidence and they hear the word past life. No, I'm not going there. I'm not going there. And I have clients who are doctors or who are dentists or professors, stuff like that. How do you have them to cross, help them to cross, to expand to the different layer of the self?
Yeah, that's tricky because I have people who come who they're kind of scared to go to a past life. And on some level, they're thinking, what if I did something terrible in that past life? I don't want to know if I did something terrible. So to me, that becomes a bit of a counseling issue, right? Because that fear is coming from somewhere. So I'll usually spend more time exploring that until they can feel comfortable going to the past life. Um, you know, I mean, the easy answer to that is, well, it's past, right? And it's not, now quantum would say it is still happening now, right? Because everything happens in now time. There is no past and there is no future. But some people, it brings them comfort to think, well, if I was a terrible person in another lifetime, and if that lifetime's not happening anymore, maybe it's okay to see that if seeing it serves a purpose for me in current time, right? Like, what could be the benefit of that in current time for releasing energy that you're still carrying associated to that past life?
Yeah, definitely, because we know, we are aware of that. Everything being shown in the session, it has its purpose.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Something we have not finished, something we have not learned, forgiveness, self-love, courage, or being playful. Go and play. Don't work too hard. All of that.
Exactly. Self-love, self-forgiveness, especially self-forgiveness, because if you have a past life where you were hurtful to people, and if you left that past life having not forgiven yourself for that, you could be struggling in your current lifetime with self-forgiveness in all kinds of ways. So, yeah, that's a great example, actually.
Yeah, we don't learn so quickly as we think we do. And sometimes, I mean, the sessions offers a bit of a guidance, leveraging your life experiences, and then us helping you to look at the life a little bit differently. Look at the corners that you have never think you need to look at, and open new pathways, open new possibilities to help people to heal.
Right. And now, one of the things that's coming through a lot in the sessions is specific direction for what to do with the rest of your life while you're here. You know, I mean, we're all here for a reason, and and yes, we're here to learn lessons. It's an emotional classroom. We know all of that. We're here to correct some karma, maybe heal some wounds, support others in their quest while they're here. But what I'm finding in sessions is guides are really giving people very specific direction about what to do with the rest of their life, like moving forward. And so it's so important to like really hone in on that and integrate that. Like, this is not just a one-off, like, oh, this was kind of interesting and fun, and then you just go back to living life the way that you were. The intention, hopefully, would be that it enhances what you're going to do from this point forward.
Do that advice always come from the spiritual guides, counselor, or elders team, or do they sometimes from the higher self?
More and more these days from their higher self. When I first started doing LBL, often people would go to the council, to their soul group. More recently, in the last year or two, people mostly work with their higher self and a couple of guides or wise beings that come in. A lot of the folks that I work with end up having energy healing experiences. And I just am thinking, well, that's probably because that's a lot of what I do. And so it resonates with what I do and probably what attracted them here. But the guides, I really feel like the guides will take people to the LBL facilitator that's going to most benefit them. So when somebody calls me and they're curious, or emails me and they're curious about a session, I always say, go to my website, scroll through it, feel the energy of it. And if it doesn't resonate with you, go to someone else, right? Like, you'll feel it, you'll know. Or go to the MNI directory and scroll through all the facilitators and see who pops out to you, because that'll be the one for you to work with.
Exactly. And we are guided to do this. Whichever therapist that eventually somebody choose, it's guided by a higher self, by a spiritual guides, by a counsel team.
And what I love about Michael Newton Institute is the facilitators themselves are committed to being connected with each other. So whoever you're working with, they're energetically connected to every other facilitator in the network anyway. So it's kind of like you're getting everybody through the one person that you're working with.
Yes, exactly right. We call that the collective consciousness. It's not one person's wisdom per se. I mean, working as a life between life therapist for 9 years, or energetically, you've been working in the field for actually a lifetime. I'm seeing that. And how did you see this might shift our consciousness globally in the near future?
So I just last month was at the Michael Newton Institute Global Conference with, the facilitators from around the world, and just sitting in the room with everyone, hearing what they're experiencing in their sessions, and doing LBLs for each other. It just became so clear that there's a powerful expansion happening in the consciousness. Those messages are dropping through in people's experiences. To me, it's palpable what's happening. So I just feel like we keep doing what we're doing, and as people have their experiences, their vibration expands and raises, and we're all interconnected, and the lower vibrational things are just going to start falling away. That's kind of how I'm seeing it.
Absolutely. We continuously to expand and truly become one, help one another to come home.
Absolutely.
I'm sure that you have so many healing stories to share with us. Would you have one or two that are particularly profound and resonate with you right here, right now?
Well, I do have one that I want to tell you about. I have found in the last couple of years more people coming with physical issues and wanting that to change. And to be perfectly honest, initially I was a little bit anxious about that, a little bit insecure about it. But I knew if they were showing up, that meant that it was something that I was meant to be working with. The case I want to share with you is a woman who came specifically because of physical issues. She herself, so 53 years old at the time, she herself, a healer, a naturopathic healer. And the main complaint was pain in her leg that had no explanation. She had done all the tests. She had tried all the naturopathic ways to address this, thinking maybe it was an infection or something like that. Nothing would solve it, had the MRIs, all of that. And so her husband actually had read Michael Newton's book, Journey of Souls, and shared it with her. And she thought, what the heck? I've tried everything else. I might as well. So, so she came and she did, the first day she did a past life regression, and the next day she did her LBL. In her past life regression, she did have the experience in a past life where her leg was injured by a horse. We saw that past life, we cleared that, and we came back. I didn't ask her that day. I don't remember asking her that day if her leg felt any different. We just processed what she had experienced and said, see you tomorrow. So she came the next day for her LBL. And in her LBL, she actually ended up going to 2 past lives before she went to the spiritual realm. But when she got to the spiritual realm, she had 3 or 4 different types of energy healing experiences. She had beings that greeted her, that they blended energy. She was taken to a particular place where energy was flowing. There were 3 or 4 different ways in which there was some kind of an energy manipulation that happened. So, and of course, there were a lot of other things, but that's what I want to focus on for today. So she leaves. I hear from her, I don't know, a week or 2 later. All of her pain is gone. Every bit of the pain is gone. The one thing that came through in the LBL was she was told, part of the reason why you're having this pain is because you need to slow down, and the pain makes you slow down. So she, vowed she was going to slow down. And within a couple of weeks, I heard from her, and the pain was gone. And if I remember right, she was also having issues with headaches. Those were gone. There might have even been some other physical symptom. I'm not remembering right now, but the physical symptoms were gone. Yeah.
What an incredible stories. And this message is so relevant to so many of our clients. Slow down.
Slow down. Right.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I do is I suggest for anybody who's going to come to do an LBL, and I learned this from another LBL facilitator, I recommend that they do the Enneagram personality inventory. And the reason for that is there's aspects of our personality that can start taking us in a direction different than what our soul wants us to be doing, right? And also there's certain personality typologies that are going to struggle with letting go of control in the session and trusting. Certain types of personalities will second guess the process more when they're in the middle of it. So I always suggest that people do that because it gives me a sense of what I need to do to help them to have a successful experience. Um, this particular woman on the Enneagram, her highest profile was as an achiever type. And achiever types, they push and push and push, and they don't pay attention to what they really need because they're too focused on that end goal, you know. So it was and in fact, I didn't even think about it at the time during the LBL when she got that message. I didn't put those two things together, but after the fact, it made total sense that that was how her guides were intervening to try to get her to slow down and just take care of herself.
I know we can all just so casually forget about it. Forget about enjoying this moment before it's too late.
Well, and she's a healer, she's a healer. So she was very focused on helping other people. And as healers, we can do that a lot of times. We get so focused on our mission for others that we can get lost in the shuffle. So that was a great learning for her.
Absolutely. I mean, I personally, I have gone through that many test. The test is you have to love yourself first. You have to master self-love. Other than that, you can't share what is actually love with others.
Absolutely. And self-forgiveness. That's they hand in hand, self-love and self-forgiveness. And once you do that, you can freely love and forgive others. It just flows.
Yes, it's a twin flame lessons that are all of us are here to master.
Yes. Yeah.
So your LBL experience, has that helped you to prepare your book publishing, Stand in Your Brilliance?
Well, the one way in which it really influenced it was all the work that I've been doing, my own LBL work and my own energy work opened me up to hear the message that I was meant to write the book. And again, my first impulse was no. I'm not very cooperative at the beginning. And I was like, I really don't want to do that. Not just because it's a lot of work. I never shy away from a lot of work. It was more like I wasn't sure I was really meant to do that. What I learned in the process of writing the book was that I would heal even more as I was writing it. So it became very clear to me, probably about the second month into writing it, which it took me a couple of years from beginning to end, that even if I never published it, even if nobody else ever read it, that there was something important happening in the process. So I let go of thinking about what the outcome of it would be, and just went with the journey, and learned so much along the way, and also fine-tuned what I do in my work with people, because when you start putting all your ideas together in a book, you're like, huh, that's right, I do that. I haven't been doing that for a while. Maybe I should start doing that again, things like that. The book is actually inspired. So I'm not a writer. I've really actually never been a writer, but I'm now an author. um,
Magic happens.
right. And so the way that I go through the world is when I hear something that I know intuitively is important, I'll write a little note about it, which is funny because that does make me a writer. I have piles and piles of these little notes everywhere. So when I went to sit down to think about writing a book, I was like, how am I ever going to put all of that together? It's too much. And of course, people gave me lots of suggestions, try this process, try that process. And in the end, it all felt overwhelming to me. Like there was no way I was going to be able to put in this one book everything that I wanted to be able to say. So instead, I started a process where I would just go and sit at my desk and I'd get quiet and I'd get still and I'd kind of have these piles and I'd just ask, where should I start? And I'd be drawn to something and I would just write about that day. And then I just kept repeating that process and eventually it emerged. And I had this manuscript, but I didn't think about the order I was going to put it in because that felt overwhelming to me. So I found a great editor who said, no problem. Let me read it. I'll tell you what order to put it in. And she was brilliant. She did not tell me until later in our relationship that she had actually done an LBL and had read all of the Newton books. I didn't even know that at the
Wow.
time. At the time I hired her to be my editor. She knew exactly what to do. She laid it out and that piece felt overwhelming to me. So as far as I'm concerned, that was an angel that dropped into my world to, kind of take me over the finish line.
I mean, we need a left hand and right hand to help us as well. And then God
Exactly.
has his own plan.
Yes.
Don't
Yes.
you worry about it. It all just happens itself.
Yes. The intention of the book, it has my trauma recovery story sprinkled throughout. Um, the intention is to inspire the spark within everyone to like fan the flame of the spark within everyone, to remind people this is who you truly are. Don't forget it. Don't let this human journey get in the way of you remembering who you truly are. Then the second theme that runs through it is here's some different practices that can help you. If you've been struggling, if you're feeling overwhelmed, try these practices. So it has a self-help aspect to it. It has exercises with reflection questions in it. So it can become your own personal recovery process with a little sprinkling of inspiration throughout.
Beautiful. So it's a transformative guide to overcome life's challenges and to know the truth of who you are.
Exactly.
And so you
Exactly.
have many tips, many exercises that are shared in the book and helping the audience to heal and grow.
Yes. Yes. There's 13 different places in the book where there's an exercise and reflection questions to accompany those. Yeah.
Would you be able to give us a snippet of one of the exercise?
Oh, sure.
What does the book look like?
Here's the here is
I
the
love that blue color.
co-
What's the cover? Is that an animal angel or
it's
animal
it's
guide?
it's meant to reflect your spirit that carries
A
you and always,
bird?
yes, that carries you and is always there with you.
Oh,
Yes.
beautiful.
One of the things that I experienced in my childhood was feeling alone much of my life, even though I was a twin. Um, there's two key messages that I always share with people. One is who you are in truth, as a spiritual being. But the second is you're never alone, ever. You always have your own higher self, you have your guides. And so a local artist did that diagram for me. Every exercise starts with having you get quiet and center and just get really present with yourself. Do a certain kind of breathing. Some of them include then now do a movement. What did you notice? This particular one is called Feeling the Energy of Joy, where I just, kind of guide you through different types of breath, and then stand in a particular way. Imagine energy dropping in to your field. And then I just ask some questions, journal about this. What was your sense of how expansive your energy is? Did you feel it continue to expand? Did images come into your mind's eye? And what do you want to remember about this exercise? So that's one example of one of the exercises.
Sounds nice and easy and doable for everybody.
Yes. Yes. And of course, that one in particular, it's really about feeling the more expansive vibrations, right? So when we stand, with our arms up like this, and we imagine a funnel of energy dropping down through our crown and into our body, and we take very, very long, slow, deep breaths.
So palms open, facing the sky.
Yeah. It can become palpable. It becomes palpable, right? Yeah. And so that's who we are, right? We're so much more than this.
Yes, I feel the energy in my fingertips as you were showing me. It's
Uh-huh.
like the tunnel is right above the top of the head.
Yes. Yes. And also it can move in and through you from behind your heart, right? So think of it as actually you're in the middle of this vortex. That yes, it drops down from above, but it also moves through from behind your heart and can
To the
carry
bottom.
you out, carries you out into the world,
How wonderful.
right? Isn't this a beautiful movement, just like this?
Yeah. And it's nice and easy. So you just in standing position and do a few deep breaths and just opening and welcoming this vortex of energy coming down and traveling through your body, cleansing, and I feel that joy and expansive state.
Yes, yes,
And remember this feeling of expansive.
right.
Nice and easy.
Exactly.
That's wonderful. Thanks for sharing that technique. You kept mentioning your LBL experience, and I would truly wanted to know a little bit more about that.
My first LBL, I was taken to a past life where I experienced some pretty uncomfortable trauma. So in that, luckily, I was with a very experienced LBL practitioner. And so as he was guiding me to move into the past life, I was in a hallway with a door. And I stood in front of the door and I was like, I don't want to go. He was very experienced and he's like, you're here today to do this. Like, okay. So I knew before I ever opened the door, I mean, I didn't know what I was going to see, but I had this overwhelming feeling of, I don't want to do this. And I had not had that feeling prior to starting the LBL. And so luckily, not luckily, nothing's luck. Having my girlfriend there with me was so, so helpful because after that past life regression, we had the evening in our hotel room and I needed to process what I experienced. And And she's not a trained therapist, but she knew exactly how to be present with me and help me work my way through that. She had had a completely different experience that was very positive and lovely and joyful. So, and then the second day when I went back for my LBL, in that day, I do not remember what past life I saw. I don't know why, but I don't. When I crossed over into the spirit realm, because I'm highly logical, left hemisphere, I had all kinds of concerns that it wasn't going to work for me. But I didn't have fear about if I got into the spirit world and didn't see anything. So those are kind of the two blocks that people can have. One is it's not going to work for me, and the other is I'm going to get in the spiritual realm and something's going to happen that I don't like. I didn't have that. So I was greeted by my father on the other side, which was absolutely beautiful and confirmation to me that this is a real thing. I just knew instantly that it was him, and I didn't see him. I just knew it was him. And he gave me this beautiful hug. And then I was able to see a guide that presented herself as a big, huge, like pink butterfly. And I was like, huh, that's interesting. And then after a little while, she turned into like this nasty looking moth. And I thought, okay, what's going on here? But it didn't scare me. I just like stayed curious about it. I did go to my soul group. I couldn't see them. I couldn't get a sense of who in my soul group was in my current life. I couldn't really get a sense of any of that. I did not see my counsel. But one question that I was asked that I always ask my clients now is, what is my job in the spirit realm? And when I was asked that question by the facilitator, I just saw myself like flying through the spirit world with like my hands going like this, spraying colored light. I was like, okay, I guess I'm like Tinkerbell and I spray colored light. Um, I think it's just so I left that feeling like, well, for sure my spirit is playful and colorful and creative. That was my first experience with an LBL. My second one, oh, they're blurring. I had another one where I saw myself trapped on the side of in a crevice on the side of a mountain. And as I crawled out, I was on this ledge. But then the next thing I knew, I had fallen off the ledge and died down in a river. I don't remember what happened in the spirit realm with that one. That was with a facilitator who liked to do a lot of inquiry about karma and past lives. So it was a lot of exploring more past lives than exploring spiritual realm. So it was seeing lots of different past lives. But then the other main LBL that I remember was when I saw myself as that big disc and I could just vibrate and entities would come to me. And in that particular LBL, the facilitator did a lot of womb work with me, which was super helpful because I was born underweight. I had birth trauma and highly anxious mom who really didn't take care of herself very well when she was pregnant. So doing that womb work really made a big difference for me. So that was what was really profound in that one.
Amazing experiences. So each LBL, each past life is different. It helps to heal one aspect or combination of all the energy coming together. And in the end, just, you work through one chapter by another chapter one corner and another corner, a child, the womb, the relationship, husband and wife, all those stuff get cleared.
Yes. There is one more that I just thought of that was super powerful, which is I had a question about why my husband has health issues, and I sensed that my anxiety about his health issues seemed disproportionate to what's going on in this lifetime. Like it felt like there was more to it. And so when I worked with the LBL therapist who did a lot with past lives, that was one of my questions is, is there a past life I've had with him that is contributing to why I have so much anxiety about his health? And I was shown a lifetime where he got really sick and I was his nursemaid for a long, long time without any other support. And so seeing that life helped release a lot of that energy so that now, if I'm concerned about his health, it's more proportional to now. It's not bringing in the energy from that other lifetime.
It sort of helps you to understand and release that sort of energy from the past lives. Looks
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
Wonderful. As you mentioned that you're a left brainer, and the one thing that you concerned before, right at there, right in the session, that you got this thought, this is not going to work. In terms of helping our audience, many of the clients who are there having the same thinking, right? This is not going to work. Or what if something happened that, I don't want to go, it's going to cause me fear. I don't want to find out about my past lives. What sort of tips, what sort of insight do you have to share with the audience to overcome that fear that this is not going to work?
Right. Well, so the first thing is take a really deep breath and drop into your heart. And let's just hang out there for a minute in your heart and feel what that feels like. And then know that you've got so much divine support right there, backing you up, here to help you have the experience that's definitely going to be in your highest good today. And they're here and they're ready, and they just want you to have the healing that you deserve to have today. So stay with that knowing, take your time, and when you're ready, we'll go through the door.
That's beautiful. Simple, a minute. It's literally just a minute, and less than 2 minutes, and that can help people to just release that energy does not serve you.
Yeah,
So if you're curious about a past life, you're curious about life between life, find someone that you resonate and then do a session, receive this profound healing that you deserve.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. So much can happen, and it's always a surprise. I tell people, I don't know what your guides have in store for you. I don't know what my guides have in store for you, but what I do know is you're here. You've been guided to be here. They're here to support you. So we can talk about all the different ways in which you're hoping it will be helpful, and then we'll just see what happens.
Yeah. Just open the heart and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. They're always wanting to help with healing, help with guidance. They just want you to know you're not alone. And it makes sense, right? Because if we can feel that connection, we are even more inspired to bring our love and light out to the world. And that's our mission.
Yes. Yes, we're all here. Just do that one thing, helping to bring the light and the love outward. Yeah. I mean, we're here to have this conversation. We're so fortunate to be here. We are all surrounded with love and light. We got this message. We're not alone, right? Even momentarily, we might be feeling lonely. we can always come back to the equilibrium state quite easily for all those techniques that we know, for all these wonderful therapists, wonderful friends and communities that we are connected with. So it is easier for us to feel the inner peace, that perpetual peaceful state. And for those who are really still struggling, still doubtful, in terms of stepping up to their power, stepping up to become a healer, because many healer comes to see me, to see you as well, to see many other therapists, and they need guidance. What sort of a message can you give to them?
If they're struggling with taking their light and love out into the world, or being connected to it, or both?
Both.
Both. Okay. Our mind is the only thing that gets in the way. So as a counselor, it's like, okay, well, what are the beliefs that are interfering? We develop as humans, when we have difficult experiences in our life, we develop strategies to deal with those experiences. And those strategies help in the moment, but over time can work against us. So to truly connect to your own love and light, it's like, can you give up thinking it's all up to you? Like, can you hand that over for a minute and just get quiet and still inside of yourself and see what's there? That would probably be where I would start, as well as whatever the healer already is doing, that is an indication of their gifts and their inspiration. And, just bringing your focus to what's already there raises the vibration of it and shifts the energy around it. So let's look at what you're already doing that you just know deep down in your heart is like super meaningful and really important. And let's just build the vibration around that first. And now as you build the vibration of that, how does it feel? Thinking about putting it out there. The fact of the matter is, there's, at least for me, my experience has been that each time I took the next step to put myself out there more, there's excitement and fear all at the same time. And you just got to get comfortable with that. Like when I went to publish the book, that was me stepping through that fear. Since then, I've started developing these online programs, yet another level of really, owning and getting comfortable with that I'm meant to be doing this and that it's going to serve a purpose. It's not about my ego. It's what I'm being inspired to do. So for me, my spirit just keeps pushing me to the next thing. And we always have free will to go no. And I say no first. And then I go, okay, well, let me think about it. How hard is this going to be? Can I do it? So, and it's so rewarding once you do. It just builds the connection and the knowing that there's so much happening on so many different levels all at the same time. We are multi-dimensional and it's magic. Yeah. If you stay just on that human plane, to me, it's like, that's so boring. It's so boring. There's so much more magic happening here.
I know, I know. I mean, we're so fortunate to be, and when I sit here and helping the clients downloading the insight from her or him in the self, it is like I am the conduit of God, and how fortunate that can be, because that insight that she's receiving as healing, is healing me. It's instantly lifting my vibration.
Absolutely. Yes.
And I love what you said. Can you give up it is all up to me, it is all up to you, right? Because we thinking we create our reality. That may or may not be the case. Sometimes it doesn't work that way.
Right. And in order to co-create with the non-physical, it's vibrational. It's all vibrational. So you really have to do your vibrational work. And over time, the more you do that vibrational work and the more you feel the connection, the harder it becomes to not do it. It's like, why would I not do that? It's just a whole different way of going through the world.
Yes, why would I not do this love work? Why would I not let the light shine through? Why would I not let light in?
Right. Right. Now, there can be all kinds of beliefs that go on, that get in the way. And so we can peel away those beliefs one at a time, until the pathway is clear. Things like, who am I to think that I can do something like that? Or maybe I don't know enough, or maybe I'm not worthy of having that. All these different beliefs that can get in the way that can be cleared out and just makes it a whole lot easier.
You have an online program.
I do. So this was my big adventure in 2024. So in the spring, I launched a 7-week course, a Stand in Your Brilliance course that paralleled the book. But the way that the course is set up is each module follows certain chapters in the book. So if you could follow along with the book or not, but what I taught in the course was in addition to what was in the book. And then we did some exercises live and Q&A and things like that. So that was this past spring. Currently, I'm running a 6-month mentorship program, which is a deeper dive into what was in the 7-week course. So it's a smaller group of people. The 7-week course was open to however many people wanted to sign up. The mentorship is a small group. And right now they're working through, they'll be together for 6 months. We meet twice a month, and we do different processes together. We do energy processes, quantum journeys, um, and we're shifting. All the practices are about helping them to shift their vibration so that they're aligned with their higher self, getting more intuitive guidance, and walking through the world from that more expansive aspect of who they are, really connecting with their gifts that they're bringing to the world. So that will run until April of next year. And I'm in the process right now of deciding what I'm going to do for 2025. So that is to be determined.
How exciting. And you're just continuously shining it through and bring more people into their brilliance.
My main intention for doing the book, doing the course, was to support people beyond just these 4 walls that I sit in one-on-one with people. I just felt like I wanted to have a bigger impact, to just help more people if I could. So that was the impetus for the book. And then, of course, with these online courses, I can reach people who, wouldn't be able to come here to the office and do one-on-one work.
Yes, so it's sort of a suitable for everyone to do the 7 week. And then if people wanted to grow further, maybe considering becoming a therapist and opening that in the gift so they can have this mentorship 6 month program with you.
Yes. And, we all have gifts that we're here to share. So for instance, right now, there's a person in the mentorship who has always dreamt of being a writer. And it's lighting that spark inside of her. And she has started writing and she has started putting it out there. on the online forums. And so it's to take the gifts that you have and connect you to your higher self and all of the inspiration to move that into the world.
It's being true to the self.
Yes, yes. Whatever that is, I'm a writer, a teacher, um, another person who wants to develop programs for young girls. I mean, they have a vision of how they want to positively impact the world. And through the mentorship, they get more and more connected to that vision and energized and inspired to go out and do that.
Brilliant work that you're doing. And so people can find your book on your website on Amazon?
Yes. So if you go to my website, there is a button there to click to go to Amazon. It is, yeah, or go straight to Amazon. My website, you can either get there using my name, kathykwiatkowski.com, or standinyourbrilliance.life. That will take you there as well.
Beautiful. And if people are interested in your next year training, they can email you for more details.
Yes, yes. What I'll be doing is I'll be tracking. If people email and they say, I really want to do your 7-week course or your mentorship, I'll keep track. I'll be running a list there to see. And then I'll be deciding early next year what I'm going to be doing with that.
Wonderful. I'm sure people are looking forward to join the next opportunity to have some intimate time learning from you. And we're about the timing. I wonder if you have one last gold piece to the audience.
Do yourself a favor and go do an LBL. You will, let it be fun, just be curious. There's so many things that you can learn and it can provide such great direction for what to do with the rest of your life. If you're struggling in any way, you can get so much guidance and support through an LBL. So do yourself a favor, try it. You won't be sorry.
Yes, connect to the therapist that you resonate with. And if you can't afford any session, let me know. We have therapists who are looking for practicing sessions before their certification, or some of us might be offering free sessions. So don't be shy and just come forward and we will help you.
That's wonderful. Yes. And I'm glad that you're doing that to connect people up that way. That's wonderful.
We are all one, and there's no judgment, there's no discrimination. Wherever you are, we're just finding ways to help one another.
Absolutely.
It's wonderful to speaking to you, Kathy, and to know more about you so intimately. I learned so much about your therapy and just becoming a better therapist, become a better human being.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming to the show. See you in the next episode. Love and light.